Hey, hey, we're back. I just wanted to just get things adjusted. I don't want to get my laptop too much in the way. Hey, hey, how you doing, guys? This is the 7 keys to happiness, inner peace, and success, and this is lovely to be here. So, just a little bit of housekeeping. I'll wait for a few people to arrive. Got some people coming now. Hope you guys have had a good day, and I've had a really nice one actually. It was sunny today, wasn't it? It was lovely. If you're in the UK or in the London area, in Surrey, it was lovely, really nice. But I just want to take you through a little bit of housekeeping. So basically, I'm going to go through these insights, and we should be done in about 45 minutes to roughly an hour. And hey, Gresha, and then basically you can just ask me questions. But what I'll ask you to do now, is if it's possible, is to save your questions until we get to hey, Carol, save your questions until the end of the webinar, and I'll let you know when that is. And then before I get to the Q&A, I've got something really cool and exciting to announce to you guys. So stick around for then as well, and yeah, you can see what I've got to announce. So, I just want to begin today. This year's really been a big year for me. It's been a big transition, and I want to talk briefly about success. But I also want to paint a really real picture, because the way that I am and the way that I want to be is I've always wanted to be. Hey, Fiona, I've always wanted to be real, and I've always wanted to connect with you guys. I've always wanted to have that humanity, that for you to know that, yeah, I have this wonderful life, and yeah, things are going really well for me. I've been on national TV, I'm getting a book published, all these things, but life can still be a struggle sometimes, and I think that's okay. I think we're going to be talking later about that. We're going to be talking later about how struggle actually is essential for happiness, which I know sounds bizarre, but it's actually what makes us stronger, and it's what makes us wiser, and it helps us go further. And for me, I want to just intro you today a little story about the sacrifices that have been involved in my journey to get to where I am today, but also the perspective that we need to have on our goals. Because I think, you tell me, my friends, chime in now and just put a little smiley face if you've got a goal. Just any goal. 1 goal, 2 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals, whatever those goals may be. Put in a smiley face now. I want to just see how many of you have got a goal, because I'm assuming it's probably a lot of you. And I just want to talk briefly about the sacrifice that is involved in that. We're trying to get a mortgage at the moment. And so anyway, we get onto the phone to the mortgage guy, and he's all like, "Yep, yeah, so you know, you've got 200 grand that you can borrow." And we were like, "Yeah, that sounds great, lovely," because we're looking to get quite a small place by the sea. Great, look at all your smiley faces, you see. And so we were all really chuffed. My wife and I, we were really chuffed. And then anyway, we had another phone call with him once we got all the paperwork to this mortgage guy. And it turns out that he says, "You know, mate, I've got some really bad news. Unfortunately, you can only borrow about £40,000. And we were like, oh, because we'd gone from being able to borrow 200,000 to being able to borrow 40,000. And he said to me, "Look, mate, you know, your numbers just don't match up. I'm really sorry." And anyway, it transpired that basically about another week later, I had another call with him where he was just doing all this numbers thing. He was sort of going, well, you see the numbers, and I was going, look, listen. This is all wonderful, but just tell me, can we borrow this money for a mortgage? Yes or no? And he's like, well, you see, with the numbers, I said, look, can we just even borrow 40,000? Can we borrow that? And he says, well, you see, because the SA302, and if you need it, and he's one of those guys where you start to just gradually pull your face, you know, when you pull your ear away from the phone, you know, when you do that. You ever done that? Because you're just finding someone just Bless him. He was just being nice, but he wasn't telling me whether we could borrow any money, even 40 grand. And in the end, I said, listen. I said, Paul, listen, tell me just yes or no, can we borrow even 40 grand? And he went, no. And I was obviously a bit upset because I was like, well, look, we could. I thought we could have at least borrowed a little bit of money, but actually, no, we could borrow nothing. So what happened for many years in my journey was I've been writing a book, and I'd sacrificed probably about 2/3 of my income, maybe half to 2/3 of my whole income, to write that book. And if you want anything in your life, there often, if not always, needs to be some sort of sacrifice. And that was the sacrifice that I took. I said, I've got this dream. I want to write a book, and I want it to get published, and I want it to be successful. And I did that, and it's getting published this year. But the sacrifice involved in that was that my income dived. But you see, my friend, not only is it about sacrifice, but you've got to have faith. You've got to have faith that somehow, some way, you're going to find a way. And you know, it's amazing. When you just use faith, you can take your life to some incredible places, because doubt is always going to be part of life. Doubt is going to creep in. People are going to naysay. People are going to wonder what you're doing. People are going to question it. They're going to be like, what are you doing? Why are you? And all you've got to do to silence all of it is have faith. And that's a silent thing. That's something that you feel for yourself. You don't have to scream it out to the world. Just have it for yourself and use that anytime you need it. Just ask yourself, do I have faith that this is going to work out? Because if you do, it probably is going to work out. And anyway, the story transpired, and we didn't end up being able to borrow this money, and that's fine. But I then had this massive perspective shift. I came out of the phone call, and I walked towards the train station, and I saw my wife and family, and they were just sort of walking to the train stop where I was meeting them, and it was a beautiful sunny afternoon, and I just saw them there. My little daughter was wearing this kind of elephant hat, going like this, walking along in the pram, and my wife was there, and I just thought, wow, perspective. And I got this rush of gratitude. And my friend, gratitude is like the fuel that a marathon runner needs to finish a marathon. If you have any goal at all in your life, any goal, weight loss, money, career, relationships, where you want to live one day, business ideas, whatever it may be, if you have any goal whatsoever, gratitude lays at the heart of all of it, because what gratitude does is give you perspective. Because no dream, no goal, no ambition is more important than your present happiness. And it's actually a paradox, because the more happy you are now, the more likely you are to succeed anyway. And you know, I had that moment, and I walked up to the train station, and I saw my wife, and I thought, life's good, man. Life's good. And I've got so much good stuff going on. And I've got all this other stuff going on. You know, success to me this year has come in waves, like huge waves. In the last 2 months, my life has transformed, and I've never been busier, and things are wonderful. But there was a great line I was reading in a book that I want to share with you. And it's about perspective, it's about mindset. And this young boy had found out that his father had made a load of money, was really, really successful suddenly. He had this huge windfall of money. Anyway, he brought the money home, and the young boy and the daughter were going, wow, daddy, you know, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? You're going to spend it? Are we going to buy cars? You're going to buy houses? Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And he said, I came into the world with nothing. And I'll leave with nothing. So whether or not I make £1 million is not going to make me elated, nor being bankrupt is going to make me depressed. Because my life is over here. But in here is something far more profound and peaceful. So just remember that, my friend. You came into the world with nothing. You will leave with nothing. So whatever loving, creative, and inspired faculties lay inside you, put them out there, because you want to be inspired, you want to be creative, you want to be a loving person, but don't necessarily expect anything in return. That takes a very soul-felt life. That's a life that's led by your soul and not by your ego. Because it's our ego that wants things like material things and all these stuff. And by the way, I'm not against material stuff. I think it's getting the success that you deserve and having material things is wonderful. It's just that I don't want you to rest your well-being on getting what it is that you want. I want you to rest your well-being on feeling good now, in grounded, simple, natural things that are around you, like people, like breathing, just good food, walking out in nature, whatever it may be. A simple life, one that doesn't require lots and lots to be happy. You know, I heard something the other day, the fewer things you need to be happy, the easier it is to be happy. And that's the truth. So my friends, that's just a bit of an intro into what is involved in a journey to success, anything that you want, but also the perspective I think that we all need on this stuff, which is that, you know, yeah, we want things in life. Yeah, we want to lose weight. We want to meet romantic partners. We might want to have career success or move into a dream house or get fit for a marathon, whatever it may be. But equally, at the same time, we've got to have that perspective on the present. And as Aristotle, the famous Greek philosopher, once said, the true art of happiness is balancing present joy with future purpose. So, we are now, and by the way, guys, if you wouldn't mind telling me, I don't know if I'm looking into the camera there. Am I looking into your eyes now, or am I looking into the camera now? I don't know which way to look, whether it's straight forward or side to side. I don't know if you want to give me a bit of a response. I'll start the next section, and maybe you can tell me if it's that one or that one. I can't tell. Anyway, my eyesight's not good enough. Maybe if I put on my glasses, I can see. Ah, it's that one. First time, Lisa. Thanks, Lisa. So if I look in that one, then we're good to go. We'll go into that one. Fiona Jenner, straightforward. Great. Nice one, Fiona. Let's do that. So, the key number one is aim for a good life. Not the one that's perfect. You know, when we look on social media, straight ahead, thanks, Mission. When we look on social media, all we see is the highlight reel to the movie, and we never actually see the movie itself. You know, when you watch a movie and you're let down based on what you thought the trailer was? Well, that's like social media. You know, we only see people smiling by some amazing paradise beach somewhere, or, you know, with their ring on their finger with this big news event, or having just completed a marathon, or whatever it may be. And it creates a warped sense of reality, because we then look at our lives, and I've done this before. We then look at our own lives and think, my life's shit, because everyone else is doing this, and look at me, I'm doing nothing. I'm just sat here on the sofa in my pajamas, just like feeling like I'm vegging, doing absolutely nothing. Clearly I'm a loser kind of thing, you know what I mean? Because I think that when we're unconscious about it, I know I've done this, where I'm just sort of scrolling through my phone and I'm not even thinking about how it's affecting me. But you see, the first key tip I want to come to with this key number one, living a good life, not one that's perfect, is to remember that we're all in this thing together. Every single human on the planet goes through human emotions. Last week I was feeling a bit anxious. I think I felt anxious on Friday evening for no apparent reason. Just having anxious thoughts, and I was being mindful of them, but I felt weird, and I think that's got to be normal. I think it's got to be okay to feel what you feel. And aiming for a good life is a really wise maneuver, but aiming for one that's perfect, where you have a perfect mindset, where you're always feeling positive, where you're always feeling energized, where you're always wanting to feel love for other people, that just isn't realistic. And it's kind of like a paradox. The more pressure that you put on yourself to live and be perfect, the harder it is to actually feel what is that the perfection is trying to create for you, if that makes sense. Because what you're trying to do by being perfect is to create more happiness, because that's kind of what we're all looking for. But you see, happiness is something that must ensue. It must come up inside of you naturally. And you don't have to always be smiling and always be full of joy for there to be a deeper sense of joy inside you. You know, if you just aim for contentment and aim for feeling good now and aim for a natural and simple life, you'll notice that good feelings and natural joyful feelings and happiness will come as a result. But if you try and be happy, happy, happy all the time, it can create a disparity. And we put so much pressure on ourselves unnecessarily to feel 100% perfectly happy all the time. And it does nothing but make us even more anxious and even more depressed. And here's a line that I want you to remember. True happiness is allowing yourself to be authentically sad. But aiming to never be sad can actually make you depressed. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. It's basically saying that if you're authentic about your feelings, you get to really know who you are. When you get to know who you are, you trust yourself. And if you trust yourself, you feel good. And if you feel good, naturally, you feel much more positive about life. Whereas if you try and be happy all the time, all the time, all the time, even when you don't feel good naturally inside, you kind of start to find that you don't really know who you are anymore. Because, you know, it's okay to just go through a feeling that you're going through. And once you acknowledge that it's okay, and you allow yourself to be okay, feeling whatever it is that you feel, guess what? You go back to feeling okay so much more quickly than you ever would have before. And my friend, I am with you. I'm human. I go through what you go through. We're all in this thing together. And if you just give yourself a break and you just allow yourself to go through what you go through, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. That's key number one. Key number one is allow yourself to be authentic and allow yourself to live a good life. Not one that's perfect. Aim for a good life. Now, the next key, I'm going to get my glasses because I can't actually see without these because I am blind without my glasses. As my family would tell me. But I want to know what you think. These bad boys, £5.50, Claes Olsen, not bad, huh? What do you think? If I spent more than 50 quid on a pair of glasses, I'd be ruined. I get through 15, 20 pairs a year. My family despair. By the way, I can never, ever find my glasses. Ever. And it's like, is that a man thing? I don't know. Is that a bloke thing? Chime in. Why don't you guys comment in? Is losing stuff and not being able to find it a blokey thing to do or not? Or is it women as well? Because my wife just goes, oh, they're over there. And I'm like, what? How did you know they were over there? I can never find them. Fucking ridiculous. Never. Now, key number 2 to you living a life of inner peace, happiness and success is to quieten your mind. Is to learn how to, turn down the volume. Comment in with a smiley face if sometimes you feel like if you just sit still and you're looking for your car keys. If you just sit still and listen to your own thinking, is it noisy? Is there a lot of noise going on? Or is it moving quickly? Is there a lot of just action taking place inside your head? And if the answer is yes, chuck in a smiley face. I'll chuck in a smiley face. There you go. That's my smiley face. I'll put it in the comment bar. And so the thing is, there's this thing called the mind, and there's these things called thoughts. Now, thoughts are a fascinating idea because we can generate anyone we want. And if you just sit here now and think about that for a second, thanks to, and think about that for a second, that's a remarkable thought, isn't it? It's funny talking about thoughts. But just now, have a little moment to contemplate that you can produce any thought that you want. And that is a remarkable thing that we can do as humans, and only really humans can do it. Or maybe dolphins can as well, I don't know, or elephants. I mean, there might be a few animals who can muster thoughts. But we can create them. And where are they created? We know that they're created from our mind, but where's the energy that creates that from? And then where's the thing that generates that energy from? Like, it's the most amazing thing that we have this thing called a mind. But I tell you what, it's also fucking annoying as well. Because when you have a mind, and it's not something that you're necessarily in control of, and that's what we're going to talk about in a moment, because I want you guys to be able to get more control over your mind. But it's also really fucking annoying. And I'll be the first to admit that my mind can piss me right off sometimes. So let's just throw that out there. I just want to talk to you about how to quieten your mind in kind of 4 simple steps. But before I do, I just want to tell you a little story about anxiety for me. So I was coming home from work one day, and I just had this awful feeling in my chest. It was like a spike, and it really got me going. This huge rush of adrenaline. I was like, what the hell is that? Like I was having a heart attack or something. Anyway, transpired, everything was fine. I went to the doctor, all these things. It was no big deal. Like, everything was fine in the end. I think it was just indigestion or something. But since that moment, any time that I had the memories again of what went on in that moment of that heart thing, I got this feeling of anxiety. Now, some of you may have had things in the past, people who have hurt you, or moments you've been through, traumas, or things that have so you've got memories in your head that make you feel whatever when you think them. And what I would do for years was use positivity to try and combat these negative worrying thoughts. So if you're someone who ever has worry and worrying thoughts in your head, aka I suspect a lot of you, or all of us, this is just me, but I found that the more I tried to use positivity in the face of negativity, the more negative I felt. The more I felt like I was in a battle with my own thinking. And I felt like I was just like, no, get rid. Yeah, okay, use the gratitude. Yeah, let's use positivity. Let's try and see the silver lining. Let's do all these things. And none of them worked because they just kept adding more and more and more fuel to the fire. Then I started reading about mindfulness. And that changed my life. And in a very profound way. Because you see, with mindfulness and meditation, I started to learn that just because I had a thought, it didn't make it true, or doesn't make it true. And so what I would do is have this thought, and by becoming more mindful of that thought and being aware of it, I was able to watch it like this, kind of going past me, without sort of diving in and getting involved in the thought and trying to get rid of it. I could just watch it going past. And that was transformative to me. The question is how? How do we get to that place where we don't have to kind of constantly judge every single thought that we have, and we don't have to dive into every single thought that we have, and we don't have to get, even though you might have had a worrying thought, how is it that you can prevent yourself from getting worried? Because you see, the thing is, you can't necessarily prevent worrying thoughts because our mind generates all kinds of thoughts. But what you definitely can do is prevent that kind of worrying feeling. Well, how do you do that? And this is how you do it. You stay seated. So I want you to picture your mind is like your living room. And imagine in your living room there's a front door just nearby with a cat flap. Okay? Now, each time you have a thought that you don't like or you don't want, it's like a stray cat coming in the living room. Okay? So let's say you're sat on the couch. So picture this right now. This is your mind. You're sat on the couch and a cat runs in the living room. This is this thought that you don't like or don't want. It's like a worrying thought. Now, the moment you get up off the couch and run after the cat and try and get rid of the cat is the same moment you're going to get into a massive battle. And by the way, the cat's going to win. You ever tried to catch a cat? They are fucking quick. You're never going to catch a cat. They'll run up the stairs, they'll scratch the curtains, they'll piss all over the walls, they'll do all sorts. You're never, ever, ever going to catch it. So what do you do instead? What you do is when this worrying thought, aka Fred the cat, because that's what I call him, Fred. If Fred comes in the cat flap, stay on the couch. Stay seated. It's just a cat. He's just going to have a wander around. He's going to have a sniff. He'll have a scratch. You might nick some of your cat food for your cat. And then, in his own time, he'll leave. He will. And this is how to stop and prevent depressing or worrying thoughts making you depressed or worried. Because just because you've had a thought doesn't make it true. And you've got to be able to differentiate between real and true thoughts, which are the ones that feel good, because that's your natural self, is to feel good. That's your natural state. Once we get out of the way of ourselves, our natural default setting is to feel good. And most people think they're broken. Like, oh yeah, just because I'm broken, I'm broken. Well, wait a second. If you just got out of the way of yourself and you became more mindful of your own thinking, you'd notice that you just feel good anyway. So it's to say that if you can meditate every day and be mindful of your thoughts, rather than being involved in them, rather than getting up off the couch and running after Fred, if you can just stay seated on the couch, you'll notice that he'll just have a wander around and he'll leave at his own accord. Every thought has a beginning, middle, and end. It will disappear eventually. And if you go through a phase in your life, because I do, and I'll be really transparent here and say, I do not have a perfect mind. I do not have a perfect mindset. I'm very positive, but I'm not perfect. And sometimes I get up off the couch and go and start to chase Fred. But what I got to do is notice that I'm doing that and then go sit back down. And the best way to either sit back down if you've been chasing after Fred, or stay seated, which is a better method, let's be honest. Let's prevent it. Let's stay seated anyway, is to meditate. And it's to meditate every single day. And even on those days where you feel like you don't need it, that's probably the day that you need it most. As Gandhi once said so famously, I've got twice as much on today, so I'm going to need to do twice as much meditation. Because one of the biggest reasons why we have these moments of unconsciousness where we don't really kind of have an awareness of our own thinking, because we get into that autopilot mode and we just start running after Fred, is because we get so tired and so worn down by life because we take on too much. We have early starts. We don't look after our bodies. We're going to talk all about that later on. So it's to say, when you hear someone like Gandhi say that, when Gandhi says, when I've got twice as much on today, I'm going to need to do twice as much meditation. That is a humbling sentence to hear, is it not? The guy transformed India, and yet he was willing to say that if he's got that much on, he's going to need to do twice as much self-care. And that just gives you that insight into what it takes to live a great life, to what it takes to live a happy life, to what it takes to live a life where you want to feel how you deserve to feel. And it's to actually take really good care of yourself and to meditate every single day. So I do recommend that you do at least 10 to 20 minutes meditation every single day. And there was a time, a year ago, 2 years ago, when I used to say, do mini meds and do these little 2-minute bits of meditation here and there. But no, I've personally, for me in my life, I've found that I am so much calmer. I am so much more assured. And I find it so much easier to stay seated on the couch when every day I dedicate myself to 10 to 20 minutes. So it's actually the length of meditation. Now, how do you meditate? Well, what you do is you close your eyes right now. This is meditation. We're about to do it. There are many forms, but this is the form that I recommend the most. So you close your eyes. You take a deep breath. And while you're breathing, you pay all of your attention to your breath, to the feeling in your tummy, to the relaxation in your shoulders, to feel tension leave your body. And what you do is you just get re-engaged and reconnected with your body, your bodily sensations. And every time your mind wanders off to the future or the past, just bring it back to the sensations of your body. And what you're going to notice is you're going to raise your awareness. And as you raise your awareness, you're going to raise your awareness of your thinking. And then throughout that day, you're not going to react to people. You're not going to react to your own thoughts. You're not going to react to annoying events anywhere near in the same way as you might have before. Because that little moment before you react, you're going to have the awareness that you can choose. And when you get to choose how you want to react, you're always going to choose to react well and to let it go. Because why would you want to feel bad? So when you're in a conscious place and your awareness is high from meditation, you notice that you just react so much less to so many different things. To that annoying person, to that traffic jam, to that annoying situation at work, to that aggravating thought you keep having, whatever it may be. But you just notice that by meditating, you quieten your mind, you raise your awareness, and you just react a lot less to the situations. So that's key number 2, quieten your mind through meditation. Key number 3 is to nourish great relationships. So, there was a study, this incredible study that was done, and it's still ongoing, actually. It was done over 80 years in the US by Harvard University and cost the US government, and is still costing them, up to £500 million or $1 million. So it's the most expensive epidemiological psychology study of all time. And it was into what are the predetermining factors? What are the factors involved in a good life? In living a good life. And after 80 years of research, it whittled down to one factor. And that one factor was the quality of your close relationships. That isn't a quantity thing. That isn't, I've got 50 friends, 1,000 friends, 10,000 friends. I've got friends here, I've got friends there, I've got friends everywhere. That has nothing to do with that. That is just a load of BS ego bullshit. This is the quality of those relationships. This is those 1 to 5 people that you get to know really well. Maybe more, because some people can have a lot more friends, but it's about the quality of them. It's about the quality of those relationships, about what you invest in them, about what you get out of them, about the connections that you create. And so what I'm going to do now is basically take you through 4 keys to increasing that connection and getting more quality out of your close relationships with friends, with co-workers, with family, with whoever it may be, whoever's close in your life like that. Key number 1 in these 4 is to a better relationships is to forget what people have done in the past. And I use that word very carefully because, of course, it sounds like I was going to say forgive what people have done, but forgive and forgiveness didn't necessarily work for me a huge amount. And I'll tell you why. I was hurt by someone many years ago, and it really played on my mind over and over. And when I relived the situation, of course, it made me feel really bad, and I got really angry at all these things. And I used to question, I used to question my worth. Like, I'm supposed to be a spiritual guy, a good guy. Like, why would I do that? Why can't I forgive? And I used to really question my worth and get really worried about it because I just couldn't let it go. And it's only since raising my consciousness that now, by noticing my own thinking, I don't want to think those thoughts because they make me feel bad. And so the line has become, Will, love yourself enough to want to think of something else. So when the memories of what that person had done came into my head, it was like, whoa, why are you damaging yourself like this? And think of something else. And by doing that over and over and over and over again, I just gradually forgot. And forgot and forgot and forgot. And before I know it, I'd let it go. And my body had healed. That, my friend, I believe is the key to forgiveness. Although if you can just go, yep, I forgive, and that's great, then do that. And of course, that's a great thing. It's just that to me, I think that being human as we are, if you can just notice your own brain and the kind of thoughts that you have, if you have memories of someone, what they've done, and it gets you, just notice that you're the only person in the world that's being affected by that in that moment. So why would you want to do that to yourself? So by forgetting it, by thinking of something else, you get to feel good. And the more you get to do that, the more you get to, thoughts are up, think of something else. Thoughts are up, think of something else. The more you forget. And the more you forget, the more naturally you let go and move on. And you get to live a more peaceful life. And you can be with these wonderful people in your life. Some of them may have hurt you greatly, but you just let it go because you no longer think about it. That, my friend, I feel is the first key to building better, more quality relationships. The next one is to be vulnerable. Key number 2 of building better relationships is to be vulnerable. I'll give you a very honest story. I'm not big into Valentine's. Shh. Well, my wife knows. I don't know why I'm whispering. And shoot me down. Tell me I'm a bad person. I'm not massively into Valentine's because I like to be expressive to my wife in other ways, at other times of the year, rather than just this kind of thing. Anyway, so she got me a card this year. And normally I do get her a card, and I had got her a card, but I actually didn't write in it. And I kind of felt a bit bad because I'd been so busy, so busy. I'd been working with publishers that day, all sorts of different people. And so I lay there in bed, and there was a little bit of me that just knew I needed to be vulnerable. But I wanted to do it face to face because I've tended to write cards in the past, and I love doing that, and I love being very deep with people. It's something that I've always done. But I wanted to say it face to face. I wanted to say exactly what I wanted to say to her in person rather than in a card. And it actually really scared me. I was laying there in bed. I was like, ooh, I'm feeling kind of scared right now because this is really awkward and really kind of gushy and a bit weird. But I really opened up to her, and I really told her what she meant to me and why. And in the end, if you want to know, I'll give you just a really, short bit of what it was. It was basically, I said to her, something like, I love how you allow me to be me fully. Because she does. She gives me this space to be who I want to be. And I'm a blessed man. I'm with this incredible woman. But by being vulnerable, I got to feel really, really good because it's like a rush. It's like overcoming fear. And I think one of the keys to happiness is overcoming your fears. And if you feel as if you have something holding you back from saying what it is that you really want to say, like really want to say to loved ones, know that that's your clue to go and say it. Because when you overcome fear, when you are vulnerable with your loved ones, you get this amazing rush of endorphins. They get to feel amazing. You get to feel amazing. And the relationship just grows. But I truly believe that the more we put up these shields of strength, the more harm it can do to our relationships. And I really truly believe that the greatest human strength is the ability to be weak, is the ability to put down the shield and say what it is that you really want to say to people. And my friend, don't save it for the funeral. Say what it is that you want to say today. Right now, after this webinar, go say it. And I guarantee you will not regret it. There will be probably one sentence or one text message or one conversation or phone call or whatever it may be that you could have, that you know you could have, that would transform how you feel. Because when you open your heart that widely, you grow. And I think that's something that we're all looking for as human beings. I think we're constantly searching for growth in material objects, in random things, in distractions. It won't come from there. Human growth is going to come when you overcome fear. And your relationships will, they'll love you for it. When you're just that vulnerable self, they really will. That's key number 2 of building more quality relationships, is be more vulnerable, be more open with people. If you've got something you want to say or need to say, go say it. Key number 3, let others be right. Now, some of you might be listening to that and thinking, no fucking way. There's no way I'm going to let other people be right. When they're saying what they're saying, then they need to be told they're wrong. And that's a load of fucking shit, Will. You're off with your rocker and go away. And a few years ago, I'd have thought the same. But hand on heart, I can honestly say that both myself and my clients and anyone who's followed me for a few years will tell you that when you let other people be right, you get to still feel good. And you get to feel peace. And you don't get so involved. And you know, the only bit of us that wants to be right is our ego. Because our soul doesn't understand right or wrong, good or bad. And by the way, listen, I'm not saying this, I'm not telling you this key number 3 to tell you to not speak up. You know, when you feel the need to speak up, speak up. Truly. Like if something's going on and you need to have a word, then like, my goodness me, have a word. But what I'm trying to get you to do is for you to go inside your own head and ask yourself the question, is this my ego just wanting to be right? Or do I actually feel like I really need to say something here? Because one is in the head and one is in the heart. If the heart feels like you really just need to say something, it knows, and it's in your gut too. But often your head is just your ego. Just check in. Just ask. Is this my need to feel right here? Or deep down, do I actually need to speak up? And that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. But I tell you, my friend, if you let other people be right, it could be one of the biggest leaps in your happiness you could ever have. Because they can just be do saying their thing, and you're kind of in your head going, oh my God, I need to say something. But if you don't say anything and you let them just be who they are, then they feel loved, they feel accepted. And by doing so, you get to feel really good by accepting them. See, it's like the opposite of what we normally do if someone's saying something that we don't agree with. But as Einstein was always telling us, think in opposites. Let it go. Let people be who they are. And I trust me, my friend, you're going to feel so much better. Marie Connolly, even if they're an asshole, yeah. Even if they are an asshole, let them be right. But like I said, on a serious note, if Marie, if you feel in your heart that you really need to speak up, then speak up. But only you can know the truth. Only you can know the truth. Key number 4 to higher quality relationships is, and it's the final one, is to remember that the most important relationship that you'll ever have is the one with yourself. You see, great relationships, and I mean this romantically, like romantic relationships, the relationship that probably brings the most happiness of all. Great romantic relationships are built on great individuals. When you are in a good place yourself, you feel so much less of a craving, a need, a wanting to change someone else. And when you don't feel like you need to change someone else, they feel loved. And when they feel loved, they want to love you back. And it becomes an upward spiral. But when you're not in a good place, and you're not taking great care of yourself, you start to, or one starts to blame the other person for the things that they're not doing that you want them to do. But really, truth be known, it's just that you're not taking very good care of yourself. And when they don't feel accepted, they don't feel loved. And when they don't feel loved, they feel worse. And then you feel worse. And the relationship goes downhill. Now, it's not to say that there's some relationships just aren't meant to be. It's not that. And that's a feeling that you have in your heart, that when you know something's not right, it's not right. But so often, the truth is, if we could just take better care of number one, and know that we can't rely on a relationship for happiness, the happiness must ensue as a natural result of us investing in it. As soon as we rest on a relationship for happiness, we're in big trouble. Because the only thing we can rest on in that sense is ourselves, how well we can take care of ourselves. But as soon as we lean on a relationship, it's like leaning on a fence. If you lean on a fence enough times, eventually it's going to topple over. And it's the same in a relationship. If you are always leaning on it for happiness, and you depend on someone else for your happiness, my goodness me, them being human, that's going to be really tricky sometimes, because we all go through difficult patches. So remember, great relationships are built on great individuals. And if you're having any relationship difficulties, or if you want to meet a partner and just have a wonderful romantic life with someone, take incredible care of number one, and don't expect anything from your other half. And I know that might come as a surprise, because this whole word about compromise, and you've got to meet in the middle, and all these things, and that's true, it is. But you do that naturally when you feel good, don't you? So when I'm feeling great, I'm taking great care of number one, I feel good, naturally I want to compromise. I don't have to force it. But you see, so many people force compromise when they're feeling shit, and then it becomes this grudge that they hold against the other person, like, well, I've done this, so you got to do that, and it becomes tit for tat, and that's just bullshit. It needs, compromising and meeting in the middle needs to come through naturally when you're just in a really good place. So it really is about individual happiness that comes into a collective and creates even more happiness. And there's a line that I want to leave you with on romantic relationships and friendships and all relationships in general. And it's a line I want you to remember when it comes to having perspective in life and what matters here. Because what really matters here is people and the memories that you create with people. Because nothing really in this world matters more. And it's that a problem shared is a problem halved, and a joy shared is a joy doubled. And that is why people really sit at the heart of happiness. But that's not about how many friends you have on Facebook or anything like that. That is just about the quality of the relationships that you nourish in your life. And if you follow those four keys I've just covered, you're going to have a lot more quality in your life too. So we're going to move on to how are we doing for time? It is 20 past 8, not bad. So key number 4 is to connect with your body. So what I've done is I just want to give you kind of 4 steps to connect with your body, because if you take care of your body, naturally your mind feels better. If your mind feels better, you feel happier. So the mind and body are inextricably linked. They're completely intertwined. And you know, when you take care of your mind, it takes care of the body. When you take care of your body, equally it takes care of your mind. So I've got a kind of 4 steps that I want you to try and implement into your life to make your body feel as good as you can feel, so that you can feel happier. And the first one is that anytime that you feel disconnected or overwhelmed or anything in between, it's to go back to your breath. Take that deep breath through your nose. And what I recommend is that you do 4 seconds in through your nose and 4 seconds out of your mouth, and get that rhythm back. Because your breath is your spiritual, emotional, physical, mental first aid. It's the Latin word espiritus means to breathe. So to breathe is to be in spirit, and to be in spirit is to breathe. And as soon as you breathe properly, you go back to your spirit. You become mindful of life. You feel calmer. So the very first thing to do is to always go back to your breath if you need it. I mean, I think we need it every day, don't we? We just need to, like that moment in the day where you're just feeling a bit, ooh, deep breath, deep breath, deep breath. And so that's the first key. The second one is to remember the 30-minute rule. And the 30-minute rule is that if you've gone through any difficulty in your life recently, so let's say you've not been well, let's say you've been dealing with difficult relationships, things have been tough at work, you've had money worries, whatever it may be, let's say life's been really hard for you recently, is to remember the 30-minute rule. And the 30-minute rule is this way of kind of basically giving you that emotional, mental, spiritual first aid so that you can kind of start healing again, really. It's like a healing process, healing through some of the damage that might have gone on in when you weren't feeling so good. So I call it the 30-minute rule, and it's going to start that healing process again, get you back to feeling good again. And the 30-minute rule is to go to bed 30 minutes earlier than you normally would. That's the first rule. And whether that's just that you read or write a journal or just reflect on the day, whatever it may be, it's just going to bed and being free from the television, free from everything else, and either getting more sleep or actually just laying there and getting more time to read, which is more relaxing. It's more nourishing, more healing. So that's 30 minutes earlier to bed each night. And then the next day is to spend 30 minutes either meditating or being mindfully aware of the moment. Now, your meditation, that 30 minutes, it doesn't have to be in the lotus position, like this, with your fingers together. Excuse me. It can be just, having your phone on flight mode for 30 minutes a day. And just going for a walk. And just maybe even leaving your phone at home. It's about having 30 minutes in the day where you're completely present. You're free from the TV. You're free from your phone. You're free from any distraction. You're free from even a book. You're just going to immerse yourself in the present and maybe go for a walk. Or something where you just start to reconnect with the present moment. Because that's where peace lives. There is no future. The past doesn't exist either. The only moment we're going to have is the one we're having right now. So that's the 30-minute rule. Pop that one in if you want to get that healing process going again. The third is to get out in nature. This kind of links into the same one, the second one as well. So get out in nature at least every day. And then the key number 4, the step number 4 is to stay hydrated. Because a hydrated body equals a clear mind. And a clear mind is able to let go of irrational thinking much more easily. And a clear mind is also in a better place to make good decisions. So kind of really, hydration can transform some people's lives. If they just start to become hydrated, and I have a water bottle here that I just sip gradually all throughout the day, and I have like kind of 2 of these a day. People can literally transform their lives just by drinking more water. So I really do recommend that's step number 4 is stay hydrated. It's basically just sip water all throughout the day. And if you're a really big guy and you're very active, you're going to need like maybe 4 or 5 liters. If you're a very small female, and hey, my wife Alice has just joined. Hey Al. If you're a very small female, moderately active, then you're going to need maybe a little, like 2 liters or so a day. So just kind of weigh things up yourself into what feels right. But like I said, buy a bottle in the morning. That's what I recommend. Because when you got a bottle, you can just sip throughout the day. Whereas if you do glasses of water, what can happen is you can do a glass and then forget to drink for 2 or 3 hours. So if you're that kind of person, then I really do recommend getting a bottle or a eco bottle or whatever. I tend to just recycle these. That is step number 4. Connect with your body. So, moving on to key number 5. Be authentic. Being authentic is about letting your feelings ensue. And it goes back to what I said earlier. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel worried. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel all these things. And when you allow yourself to be authentic, and I'll use my wife Alice as an example, and she won't mind me saying this, and Al, if you want to chime in, I'd love you to. Recently, she's dealt with feelings of guilt from not being the kind of mum that she wants to be, because she's not been feeling very well and not being very not happy, but she's not been feeling like buzzing, full of like ecstasy. She's just been feeling like a little bit flat and a bit more tired, and she's not had her tummy's been upset and stuff. And over, and eventually I shut up, because I've got this tendency that I put on my coach hat when really I just need to put on my husband hat and stop being a dick and just listen to her. Sorry, I'm a bloke, classic bloke, trying to help my wife out without really even kind of listening. But she did allow me to do a bit of coaching, and I just said to her, Al, look, you just got to be kind to yourself. You just got to let yourself feel what you feel, and it will pass so much more quickly. But you can't necessarily like force that on someone. And in the end, I just let her, get on with it. And in the last couple of days, she's been feeling great. And she wrote a little note on the fridge. It's super cool. I love it. And it just says, "Be nice to yourself." Just in big writing, just on the fridge. So that's really the first bit in being authentic. It's like, be authentic with your feelings. And don't feel like you need to be happy all the time. That's it. And by doing that, you're going to feel good much more quickly. It's a massive paradox. So that's the first one. The next one on being authentic is getting really honest with the kind of people that you spend time with. If you feel as if you're naturally evolving away from certain people, then have the courage to say no. And be authentic about who you are and who you're becoming and who you're growing into. Because you're going to start, as you evolve as a human being, you're going to start gravitating towards other kinds of people, and that's okay. Nothing stays the same in life. So be authentic about the kind of people that you spend time with, and get really good at maybe saying no, or just naturally stepping away from certain relationships. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to feel guilty about that. You can choose to just be kind to yourself and let yourself be who you really are, and be unapologetic about it. Because I think often we apologize for ourselves all the time, and that's just the ego. This ego that's full of fear about what other people think. But Jesus Christ, there's a great quote by Deepak Chopra, which is, the moment you make other people's business your business is the same moment you'll be offended for the rest of your life. So you can't control how other people react to you, what they say about you, what they might have done in the past. All you can control is who you want to be and your character. And if your character is one that is loving yourself, you're feeling authentic, you're living the life that feels integral and right to you, You're the only one that knows the truth. So don't worry about other people. They don't care, really, anywhere near as much about how you live your life as you think you do. As you think they do. Because I think often we wrap that up inside our own head far greater than it really is in reality anyway. And then the third key, as part of that being authentic, is follow your passions. You've got this thing that you were born with that no one else has done like you. No one else ever will do like you. No one does like you today. It is totally unique to who you are. And when you're authentic about that, you'll have incredible success. And I remember when I first started making videos online, and I set up this elaborate lighting. I wrote scripts, and I spoke in this strange voice, like the one I felt like I was supposed to speak in. And it was shit, man. The results were shit. I just used to watch them. I mean, now I look back and think, my God, did I used to speak like that? Jesus. It was so weird. It wasn't even me. And then, it was taking me ages as well. And so I decided on the train on the way home from work one day that I was just like, fuck it. I'm just going to tell real stories from the heart. I'm going to stick on my iPhone on my windowsill, and I'm just going to give it a crack. Like, whatever. And in that first 2 years, I probably got like 500 likes on Facebook. And then that next year, I got like 18,000. And I appeared on national TV. And I'm getting a book published. So what does that say about being authentic? Well, it says that when you're being genuine about what it is that you love to do, and you really just get it out there, and you throw it out there, and you go for it, the world will feel that too. And when the world feels that, they'll feel inspired, and they'll want to follow what it is that you do. And you'll notice more and more that the less you try and please everyone, and the more you just do what you do because you are just feeling good doing it, because it feels right to you and authentic, and you just let go of what other people might think, you get the success. It's a massive paradox. It's the less you try and be someone, and the more you just are yourself, the more success you'll have. And that's in all facets. That's in career, in romance, in creating your dream lifestyle, business, whatever it may be. The more authentic that we are, the happier we'll become. And more successful as well. So, be authentic. So now I'm going to move on to key number 6. And it kind of flows on from key number 5. It's about you having happy success. There's no good getting the success that you want if you lose your sanity along the way. Like, the whole point is that you want to better feel good now, but also generate really exciting things in the future. So how do you do it? I'm going to explain how to do it now. Just chime in now, with a smiley face, if fear is ever something that stops you from trying to fulfill your dreams and go after your sort of dream life, if you will. Put a little smiley face in now, if that's you. Because I know that's me sometimes. And I just want to give you an insight that I hope can help you overcome fear that you may have about generating this excitement about the future life. Because if we go back to that quote by Aristotle, the true art of happiness is balancing present joy here with future purpose and future excitement. Because it feels really good when you feel like things are coming your way in the future. Because it's all well and good being a hippie, and it's like, yeah, peace, man, in the moment. And that's, yeah, geez, we live by that philosophy, and we live in the moment. But equally, if we don't try and create a more exciting future for ourselves, we also miss out on a tremendous amount of happiness as well. So the fear, really, that I see in my work as a coach, the thing that I've seen the most, is people being held back by fear. But I want an insight for you that I hope can help you on that. And it's to say that, for me, face the fear and do it anyway, it didn't work. Because I would see the fear here and go, oh, it's the fear. And then I wouldn't do anything. And then I'd get all fired up again and be like, yep, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to sort out my relationships. I'm going to make loads of money. And I'm going to help loads of people. And I'm going to make this dream life. And I'm going to live by the sea and da-da-da-da-da. And then I'd be like, oh, but what if I fail? And then the fear would, and then nothing. And then I come up and then nothing. And I just kept doing this over and over and over. And it all changed when I just decided to start. Just tiny. The littlest thing. It was just like one tiny little step that felt good to me. It didn't feel scary. And then I took another one. And then I thought, well, I've gone this far, so, well, I looked around, I was like, well, I may as well take another one. Took another one, and then looking around like, actually, this is getting okay. And then took another one. And then thought, yeah, you know what? And then another, and another. And the more steps that I took, the more that confidence grew and more motivation grew. Because the more I started to see results, the more that inspired me even more to want to do even more. But if you told me to go to here, when I was down here, it would have been too big a leap. Because I hadn't gone through the levels yet. So what I want to bring this back to is you and how you can overcome fear and get your life moving in a certain direction. It's just to do the tiniest thing. And then just do another tiny thing. And then just do another tiny thing. And another and another. And do the steps that you feel like you can take. And yeah, like, listen, you're going to have to start. And that's probably the scariest thing of all, is the beginning. It's the start. And the only way to overcome that kind of inertia to get something really started, whether it's to do with your finances, you know, a blog that you want to create, a fitness challenge, I don't know, whatever it may be, is you've got to overcome the fear of failure. You've got to let go of the idea that it's going to be perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect start. There's no such thing as a perfect journey. People want the journey to go like this. But the truth is, it kind of goes like in this scattered line. But generally throughout there's results. But it kind of does this thing. And this is absolutely hand on heart, I have failed more than I have succeeded. I've failed 100 times more than I've succeeded. But the point is, each time I failed, I've learned something about myself. I've learned something that I want to do a little bit better next time. So and that's helped me go further and further and grow in confidence. But if you never allow yourself to fail, you're never going to learn. And if you never learn, you're never going to grow. And if you never grow, you're never going to make your dreams come true. So really, if you take the thread back to the beginning, you've got to allow failure to be okay. You've got to allow yourself to make mistakes. And just throw yourself out there. And do what you do, and don't worry about the results too much just yet. Just make a start, and it's all going to make sense as the journey unfolds. And you know, a big tip I want to say on this one is don't get hung up on the when. People are often saying, well, when am I going to meet a partner? Or when am I going to make 6 figures from my blog? Or when am I going to move into my dream house? Or when am I going to get this dream job? Or, when? And all it does is make more pressure. It's like the when just goes on the shoulders. And then we have to carry that around. And it makes the journey so difficult if we're carrying around the weight of pressure of when. Because we've got no idea. We've got no idea when. If we just live in the moment and just love what we do, we'll just take another step. And then if we've enjoyed that, we'll probably take another one. And then let's say that didn't quite go the way we wanted to, well, we learn from it and we go again. But if we get hung up on, well, when's this going to happen? When's that going to happen? That is when we're in for a really rough ride. And that is when we're going to put more pressure on ourselves. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why people give up, is they lose patience. But you see, patience really is very easy when you let go of the when. When you just do what you do and you love what you do, and it will happen for you, I promise. Especially if you're just learning from each of those mistakes, each of those failings, and then using that to help you grow. And as you grow, you get more confident. As you get more confident, you create more of your dreams. So that's key number 6. Let me just move on to the next one. That was about having what I call happy success. So having the success that you want without losing your sanity. And then the key number 7 is to fill the happiness gap. It's the final key tonight. And the happiness gap is a thing that I invented, and it's going to be it's the title of my book, which is being published by Hay House this November. It will be on bookshelves. I'd say worldwide. I think it's going to be in the US, Australia, Canada, and UK, I believe. And it's all very exciting. It's super exciting. And the happiness gap stands for gratitude for what you have, acceptance of what you don't, and an ability to live in the present moment. And we all know what gratitude can do for our mindset. Like, it makes us grounded in what we have, and that feels wonderful. But gratitude's power really comes in when it comes down to the lessons that show up in life. Because I'll never forget one of my buddies saying to me in my gym, actually PTing, he said, mate, I don't know how you see that client such and such. You know, it must be so soul destroying, yada yada yada, to have that person be the way that they are and be so annoying and so down on everything all the time. And I said, pal, if I'd never met person X, then I wouldn't have ever found out who I wanted to be the opposite of. And that's gratitude. That's gratitude's power. And if you have a difficult situation that you're facing at the moment, ask yourself the question, how can I be grateful for this? And I don't mean as in like something really serious is happening to you right now, but what I mean is, if you can just search for the lesson, you'll go back to feeling good. Because when you've got the wisdom that you can get from it, you get a whole new perspective. And with a whole new perspective, you don't have to take that situation as seriously as you did before, because you feel empowered. When you feel empowered as to a deeper reason and meaning as to why this difficulty has shown up in your life at the time that it has, then you'll create an understanding of it. And when you create that understanding, you'll cope with life a lot better. And that comes back to gratitude. How can I be grateful for this situation right now? What is it teaching me? How can I be grateful for the lessons that this is teaching me? The next piece, the A, is acceptance. And acceptance is really a mindset that you develop to ease tension. Because there are so many things in our day-to-day that we have so little control over. And if we just accepted them as outside of our control, we go back to feeling good so much more quickly. And it's just a conscious decision that you make in your head. Like, were you thinking, well, how do I accept? Like, what do I do? Well, you just do it in your mind. You just have that moment to yourself where you sit there and you go, I accept that person, or I accept this situation. And it's like a bodily sensation. You get in touch with your body and you can almost, you can breathe through it and sort of say, I'm okay. And you say it in your head, you say it in your mind, I'm okay. and you repeat that and you just breathe through it consciously. I remember coming off the train back from work once, and I walked into the park, and I was feeling really fucking pissed off. Really pissed off that it was hot and sunny, and I was on this stuffy train with these depressed Londoners, and there's me from Devon. Why am I here? What am I doing here? How did I end up here? And I'd fought with that for years. Like, I'd been really, really unhappy about living in London for a number of years. And then I walked into the park and I looked up at the sky and there was a sunset. And I thought, you're doing this to yourself, mate. I had that thought in my head. I thought, you're doing this to yourself. And it was the most profound thought I'd ever had. I just stood there and I noticed that I can choose if I want. So if you have a thing that's going on in your life now at the moment that's outside of your control, if you can just accept it, you'll release the tension. And as you release that tension, you'll go back to feeling good. And feeling good is something that you can have a lot easier than you think. You don't have to have a perfect life to feel perfectly happy. So my friend, I'll move on to the P. And the P is to really live in the present. Because when you live in the present, you notice that it's this incredible miracle around us. When you look up at the sky, like if you can do that now, let's all just share this moment now when you look up at that sky. And I'm looking at the sky now. And I can kind of see some stars a little bit. But when you think about the fact that, I say the fact, we don't know if it's true or not, but whether or not the universe does or doesn't end, that it's that there is no time. It's that there is only one moment, and it's now. And I love this bit, there's this little quip that I remember from Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, and it was the oak tree turned to the badger and asked, "What time is it?" And the badger turned back to the oak tree and said, "It's now." Because time really is a man-made concept, and our relentless pursuit of the future and of regret of the past isn't doing us any good. And the more present that we become, the more naturally good we feel. Because, you know, we're supposed to feel good as humans. And it's why we're called human beings. Because just like the oak tree, just like a dog, they just are. And it's to be here. That's why we're called human beings. It's why we're not called human doings. We're called human beings for a reason. And it's because we're supposed to be here as part of this natural cycle of life. And if we get connected to nature, the biggest lesson that nature teaches us is to be here. And it's why I recommend so highly that you can create a life that gets you outdoors, that gets you out in nature as much as you possibly can, even if it means, like, you know, you're in a city and it's just like it's dark and you've had one of those really tough days. If you can just put your feet on the grass, you know, in bare feet, just for like 2 minutes, and just get connected again. Get connected to nature, because nature's present. It's always present. It's always here. If you can do that, you're going to feel a lot more peace. And when you feel that peace, you're going to feel a lot better. So my friends, this has been the 7 keys to... the 7 keys to happiness, inner peace, and success. If you've got any questions, I'll be super happy to answer them. If you haven't, don't worry, that's absolutely fine too. I just want to also announce that I've left a link above this webinar for tickets. They've just gone on sale for my 2-day happiness retreat. So if you want to spend 2 days on the beautiful west coast of Ireland doing surfing, meditation, hikes in nature. We're going to be doing yoga, mindfulness exercises. I'm also going to be doing seminars as well, much like the one that I've covered today. And the idea behind the weekend is to calm your mind, energize your body, and enliven your soul. So if you feel as if you're just looking to really give back to yourself and enjoy a wonderful weekend with some like-minded people, and just have a really chilled out time and actually come away with some real hands-on tools that you can take into your everyday life to live more calmly, to live more happily, then join me for those 2 days in Donegal on the west coast of Ireland. It starts at 6 p.m. on the 12th of May. So we're going to meet at the hotel. I'm going to say hey and just give you a welcome, and then we're all going to go down for I'm going to do a wee talk, like an intro talk, and then we'll have dinner. Next day, there's loads of surfing, there's mindfulness, there's seminars, lots of great healthy food, all these things. And so if you're interested, you just need to click on that link. But what I will say is there's been a massive interest so far, and I've only got 48 spaces. So if you want a space on this retreat, then I really highly recommend that you get in there as quick as possible, because I think it will sell out in the next kind of 3 or 4 weeks. So, my friends, if you've got any questions, please feel free to fire them in. If you haven't, and you probably just want to get to bed, which I understand, then I will love you and leave you. I'll stay on just for a minute or so. If you want any questions about the retreat as well, please feel free to fire in any questions you have regarding my life, your life, the retreat, the news, your emotions, anything. It's up to you. And I will hang on just for a little bit longer. And if you have any questions, please fire in. It's been lovely being on here with you. And really, this is why I started this. Like I began this whole journey because I wanted to connect with you. And I wanted to thank you, Linda. Appreciate your kind words. And thank you, Marie. I'm going to say some thank yous here. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Fiona. Thank you, Carol. Fiona again. Thank you, Kate. Gresha. Thank you, Catherine. Orla. Adele. Grace. Michelin. Emma. Adele again. Marie. Thanks so much for coming, and really, because what January going on TV on national TV on ITV for those 4 weeks, and then doing the live stuff, and then having my book stuff all kick off. It's been a crazy couple of months for me, and it feels so nice to get back to doing what I love. And don't get me wrong, I love the TV stuff, but what I really, really love and why I started this whole journey was to have moments like this where I just get to sit with you and help you out. I want to help you live a happier life. That's really why I feel like I'm here. And also on that front, actually, I'm going to be doing a podcast very, very soon. I'm going to be starting a fully fledged podcast in about 2 months. And it's hopefully going to be something that you really enjoy. It's going to be a really solid hour and a half of content each week, sometimes 2 hours. 1 week I'm going to do kind of insights like I've done tonight, and then the next week I'm going to follow up with a guest that I want to bring on the show. And it's going to be basically a mind, body, soul podcast designed to calm your mind, energize your body, and enliven your soul. So yeah, that's a bit of news as well. That's coming in for this year. But yeah, the big announcement really is the retreat. So links are above. Click on the link and get your ticket, and I'd love to see you there. So, my friends, I'm going to say goodbye now. And if you have got one quick question that you want to fire in, please do. If not, I'm going to count down. And I'm just going to stare at the camera like this, like a weirdo. My friends, lots of love. Bye-bye for now. Cheers.